Hi, this is Steve at heavenlysign2017.com. 1 Thessalonians 5:4. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. Verse number 29,626. All the digits equal 25. 25 symbolizes grace upon grace. The preceding verse clearly speaks of the beginning of the tribulation period of which the church is not a part. The following verse, that day, points directly back to the preceding statement of when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. The word overtake means to apprehend, comprehend, come upon, attain, obtain, to lay hold of, so as to make one's own. The word thief is transferred to false teachers who do not care to instruct men, but abuse their confidence for their own gain. The word is kleptes. It's where we get our word kleptomaniac. So kleptomaniacs, they can't help themselves from stealing. So in short, the difference between those in and those out of the tribulation is as stark a difference as night and day. There are those who can't help but try and rob us of this blessed hope. The evidence suggesting Daniel's prophecies have been unsealed, as well as the increase in knowledge, the running to and fro, searching out these truths, the purifying effect that it's having on his people, the blindness of those who continue to do wickedly, the time frame as well as the timeline with relative dates is just far too overwhelming. There's really only one way to respond to those who say no man knows the day nor the hour. We should just smile and say, you're absolutely correct. God only narrowed it down to within several days. So the exact moment of his coming will most definitely come as a surprise for every one of us. A viewer sent me the following. Micah 4:3 says, and he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. The Jewish gematria value equals 13355. And these digits all total 17. Micah 4:3 in Jewish gematria equals 585. New beginnings surrounded by the grace of God. The August 21st solar eclipse is looming on the horizon. So let's go back to August 21 in the year 17, 2,000 years ago. Jesus would have been 17. Jesus would have recognized the day as honoring fruits and tithing. The day was called Kitavo. Deuteronomy 26 describes this honored day as one in which the Israelites were to honor God for his deliverance out of bondage into the land which he promised. I find this interesting. We see September 20, 2017 approaching. Let's drop the 2,000 years and go back to September 20 in the year 17. On that day, Jesus was 17. It was Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. So there was 2,000 years in between the 17 Atonement and the Feast of Trumpets, 21 September 2017. The midpoint of the tribulation on our timeline is April 2, 2021. Drop the 2,000 years. In the year 21, Jesus would have been 21. Do you think he knew that on this particular Rosh Chodesh, that 2,000 years from then, in the future, that the abomination of desolation would occur? I believe he did. November 27, 2024, drop the 2,000 years and go back to the year 24. Jesus would have been 24. On this day, the Jews celebrated the death of a most cruel king and high priest of Judah named Janneus. His death 76 years prior would have been exactly 100 years ago to Jesus on that day. In contrast to the kingdom rule that Jesus was offering, which would occur 2,000 years later, Jannaeus' short period of rule was characterized by cruel and oppressive never-ending conflict. There was great dissension over the fact that he wanted to be both king and high priest. Today, we'd call that separation of church and state. I find the year 24 an interesting number, since 2024 sees the kingdom age on our timeline. 35,989 days between the rapture and the second coming of Christ on our timeline. These days in Hebrew years calculate to 99.969 days, according to the Hebrew 360-day year calendar. As I pointed out in previous videos, it was on this day in 1922 that President Harding signed a joint resolution of approval to establish a Jewish homeland in Palestine. 99.9 years. This is anything but a coincidence. I've strongly come to believe the rapture will occur on September 21, 2017. One factor that favors this date is its relation to the Feast of Trumpets and the New Year 5778, the first waxing of a new crescent moon, Rosh Chodesh, whereas there is no moon on September 20. Yet September 20 will also see the sunrise over Jerusalem at 6:26 a.m., 88 degrees east. And this 88 degrees east, this sun, 88 degrees east, has grabbed my interest. Strong's number 626, which is from Strong's number 622, both project the meaning to gather together, removal, collecting, assembly, to be gathered together, taken away. Harvest is seen in the meaning of this word, Asaph as well. Isaiah 24 is where we find this word. It doesn't reference the church, though it does describe the removal, in a sense, of the church. This is the only place that the word is found. If you just read Isaiah 24, you'll see this is most definitely talking about the time of Jacob's trouble. I'll read the last few verses. The earth is utterly broken down, the earth is clean dissolved, the earth is moved exceedingly, the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days shall they be visited. Then the moon shall be confounded, and the sun ashamed, when the Lord of hosts shall reign in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, and before his ancients gloriously. A viewer sent me this. The word evacuation in Jewish gematria has a value of 1109. Reverse the number and drop the 0, and we get 911. In English gematria, it's 666. In simple gematria, it's 111. To be honest, I'd call this 4-day window, September 20 through September 23rd, as the eyeballs wide open hours, though I believe the weight of the evidence is strongly in favor of earlier rather than later. I still can't help but find it fascinating that the gematria value of Genesis 1:1 holds the number 2017 scrambled like letters on a Scrabble rack. It appears without a doubt we're going from a 2701 creation to a 2017 rapture. What I find really interesting about the September 20 sunrise angle is verse number 88, where that in Genesis 4:8, Cain murders his brother Abel. If we take the verse number, the number of letters and words, as well as the gematria value of the verse, which gives us the numbers 88, 14, 54, and 1959, It reads Jesus, Grace, Finality 24. And as we know, Cain slaying his brother Abel has direct ties to the conflict between Judaism and Islam, the East and the West, that clash of civilizations that we see even now, which will escalate during the tribulation period ending in 2024, the seed of Isaac and Ishmael feud. Now, I've been working tirelessly the past few days organizing scattered files from the past year, research into separate identifiable folders. I had it scattered everywhere. Just doing this has been very revealing to me, because it has given me a much more clear picture of just what categories of interest support our soon departure in September. What you're looking at on the screen now is a part of that evidence, because I'm not through sorting. The folders that you see listed here contain data supporting the church age ending September 2017. And the ones I have labeled with a star are those categories that lean more favorably toward the 20th or the 21st rather than the 22nd or the 23rd. Sorting through my own information is becoming a real eye-opener. Like everyone else, my mind is only capable of retaining so much information at any given time. I couldn't possibly remember every bit of information that I've accumulated. I can't hold all that in my head as to be able to stand back and see the broader picture. But by sorting through it all, it's given me a picture that I was unable to see before. I've always loved Mexican food. For me to get excited over the results of one video is one thing. I can even walk around with several videos I've made in my brain, but not the whole enchilada, as they say. By doing all this sorting, I'm beginning now to taste that enchilada, and I mean to tell you, it is good and spicy. Many email me telling me how surreal all this seems. I've always leaned toward logical reasoning and rationality. I'm sure that God knew it would seem surreal to that final generation that knew that Jesus' return was drawing near. But here is what I would say as it regards that word surreal. I have a hard time associating that word, surreal, with the amount of evidence that God has placed before us. In my mind, the two ideas are irreconcilable when you think about it. There was nothing surreal about Jesus appearing the first time. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, people were going about their daily lives as they always had been, getting married, building houses, and crushing grapes for wine. What do people expect it to be like the day the rapture occurs? My grass will go right on growing the day after the rapture occurs. I just won't be here to mow it. I love you guys, I truly do. If you found this to be helpful or encouraging, just click like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, this is Steve. Thanks for watching.